September 8th, 1969. 8:45 p.m. Milan, Italy. Before I tell you about one of the most perfectly executed jewelry heists in Italian history, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. I bring you the most incredible unsolved true crime stories every week. And this one involves a heist so clean that investigators are still scratching their heads over 50 years later. The Damiani Jewelry Store on Via Monte Napoleon. Milan's most exclusive shopping street is preparing to close after another day serving Italy's wealthiest clientele. Inside the prestigious boutique, display cases gleam with some of the world's most exquisite jewelry. Diamond necklaces worth fortunes, rings containing flawless stones, pieces created by master craftsmen for clients who consider anything less than perfection unacceptable. Security is sophisticated for 1969, reinforced steel doors, alarm systems connected directly to police headquarters, and staff trained to handle high-value merchandise with military precision. The Damiani family has built their reputation over decades on absolute security and discretion. Then, at 9:15 p.m., just as the last staff members are securing the displays for the night, a group of men appears at the door. They're dressed in what appears to be utility worker uniforms, claiming there's an emergency gas leak that requires immediate evacuation of the building. But there's no gas leak. These are professional thieves who have spent months planning what will become one of the most spectacular jewelry heists in Italian history. And in the next 20 minutes, they will steal millions of dollars worth of precious gems and disappear without leaving a single useful clue. This is the story of how a team of criminals pulled off the perfect heist using psychology, precision timing, and an escape plan so sophisticated that it's still studied by law enforcement today. The Damiani Jewelry House wasn't just any retailer. It was an institution representing Italian luxury and craftsmanship at its finest. Founded in 1924, Damiani had built relationships with royalty, celebrities, and the ultra-wealthy who sought jewelry that was as much investment as adornment. The Via Monte Napoleon location was their flagship, situated in Milan's fashion district where wealth and style converged. The boutique's inventory on any given day could exceed several $1 million, with pieces ranging from engagement rings to exhibition-quality necklaces that would eventually grace red carpets and royal collections. But what made Damiani particularly attractive to thieves wasn't just the value of the merchandise. It was the predictable patterns of how high-end retail operated in 1969. Closing procedures followed strict routines. Staff members were trained to be courteous, even under pressure. Most crucially, the assumption was that anyone in an official uniform was legitimate. The mastermind behind the heist has never been definitively identified, though investigators believe it was orchestrated by a sophisticated criminal organization with experience in Havalia robberies across Europe. The level of planning and execution suggested professional criminals who understood both security systems and human psychology. The team had apparently spent weeks, or even months, conducting surveillance on the Damiani boutique. They studied staff schedules, closing procedures, police patrol patterns, and the building's layout. They identified the optimal time for their attack, the vulnerable window between closing time and when security systems were fully activated for the night. Most ingeniously, they recognized that people as natural instinct when faced with authority figures announcing an emergency is to comply immediately rather than question credentials. By posing as utility workers responding to a gas leak, they could gain access and control without triggering the defensive responses that obvious criminals would provoke. September 8th, 1969. 9:15 p.m. As Damiani staff members were completing their closing procedures, the fake utility workers appeared at the entrance with urgent warnings about a dangerous gas leak in the building. They spoke with authority and carried equipment that appeared official: clipboards, tools, and what looked like gas detection devices. The psychological manipulation was sophisticated. Rather than demanding entry, they expressed concern for the staff's safety. Rather than appearing threatening, they projected the professional courtesy of workers doing their jobs. The Damiani employees, trained to be helpful and accommodating to anyone who might be legitimate, opened the door. Once inside, the situation changed instantly. The utility workers revealed weapons and announced this was a robbery. The staff members, who had been cooperating with what they believed were emergency responders, suddenly found themselves hostages in their own boutique. What followed was systematic looting conducted with remarkable efficiency. The thieves clearly knew exactly which display cases contained the most valuable pieces. They moved directly to high-value items, ignoring lesser jewelry and focusing on diamonds, exceptional gemstones, and pieces that combined maximum worth with portability. The violence was minimal but effective. Staff members were bound and placed in a secure area where they could untrigger alarms or interfere with the robbery. The thieves worked quickly but without panic, suggesting military-style discipline and detailed planning. Most impressively, they defeated the alarm system using techniques that suggested inside knowledge or sophisticated technical expertise, whether through cutting specific wires, entering override codes, or using equipment that bypassed sensors. They ensured that no automatic alerts would reach police during the crucial minutes of the robbery. Within 20 minutes, they had stolen jewelry estimated at several $1,000,000, a staggering sum in 1969 that would be worth tens of millions today. Then they executed an escape plan that has never been fully understood by investigators. They didn't simply flee the scene. Instead, they apparently had a coordinated extraction strategy involving multiple vehicles, predetermined routes, and possibly even safe houses prepared in advance. By the time bound staff members freed themselves and alerted authorities approximately 30 minutes later, the thieves had vanished completely. The investigation that followed was one of the most intensive in Italian law enforcement history. Milan police coordinated with national authorities and international agencies to identify the perpetrators and recover the stolen jewelry. But they faced a crime scene that had been cleaned of useful evidence with a professional forensic analysis revealed minimal fingerprints, all belonging to staff members. The fake utility uniforms were never found. Witnesses who had seen the workers entering the building provided descriptions that were generic and unhelpful. The stolen jewelry had apparently been moved through underground networks so efficiently that it never appeared in legitimate markets where it could be traced. Most frustrating for investigators was the complete absence of informants. Professional criminal operations usually involve enough people that someone eventually talks, either for reduced sentences, reward money, or because of falling outs among thieves. But the Damiani heist remained sealed by what appeared to be perfect operational security. Several suspects were investigated over the years: known jewelry thieves, organized crime figures, and even former Damiani employees who might have provided inside information, but none of the leads produced evidence sufficient for prosecution. The case gradually went cold, becoming one of Italy's most famous unsolved robberies. The Damiani heist had lasting impacts on jewelry security throughout Italy and Europe. The fake utility worker approach became a known tactic that security protocols were redesigned to prevent. New procedures required verification of emergency workers through multiple channels before granting access to secure facilities. Jewelry retailers enhanced their alarm systems, implemented backup communication methods, and trained staff to maintain skepticism even when faced with apparent authority figures. The assumption that uniforms equaled legitimacy was replaced with verification procedures that could detect impersonation attempts. Today, the Milan Damiani heist is studied as a classic example of how professional criminals can exploit the gap between closing time and full security activation. It demonstrates the importance of maintaining high alert even during routine procedures when staff may be tired and eager to go home. The case also revealed how effective psychological manipulation can be in defeating physical security. The thieves didn't need to bypass elaborate systems if they could simply walk through the front door by exploiting human courtesy and emergency response instincts. Over 50 years later, the stolen Damiani jewelry has never been recovered. The perpetrators were never identified or prosecuted. Somewhere in the world, pieces created by master craftsmen for Italy's elite are being worn or held by people who will never reveal how they came to possess them. If you're still watching this, you absolutely need to subscribe right now. Hit that button, smash the notification bell, and drop a comment below. I bring you the most fascinating unsolved mysteries every single week. Next week I am investigating the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist. $500 million in art stolen and never recovered. What do you think happened to the Damiani jewelry? Was it broken down and sold as individual stones, shipped overseas to collectors who knew it was stolen? Or is it still hidden somewhere waiting to be discovered? Drop your theory in the comments. Some of you have insights that could solve these cold cases. Thanks for watching, and remember, the perfect crime isn't the one that's most complicated. It's the one that leaves no trace. See you in the next one.